Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin's technical analysis. We've seen a bit of a move to the downside in the last 24 hours, and I want to cover the short, medium, and long-term price predictions that I have for Bitcoin and what I'm expecting to happen next. As I get into today's video, do go ahead and smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe, and let's jump right down into today's video. What we're going to do is we are going to take this down into the smaller time frame. We're going to kick things off with a 4-hour time frame here. This is going to be our short-term price predictions for Bitcoin. Okay, now we've seen obviously from the 29th of July, this high that we had coming in up here at the $70,079. And yesterday, actually it's today, to be fair, the 3rd of August, UTC, midnight UTC, we can see this is a 13.66% move to the downside. Now, taking a look at the patterns here that we have, I'm still expecting further moves to the downside. I'm going to give you kind of like worst case scenarios as to kind of where I think we could be heading here for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, it's not to say that this is going to be necessarily be a straight line, but it is something that we need to kind of consider. Okay, so we'll be looking for a relief rally, but another move to the downside, and this move to the downside is going to be targeting out that range between $56,785 and $58,134 approximately, right in that little sweet spot there. Okay, we are looking at this as a double zigzag. Okay, that's basically a WXY pattern with an ABC structure sitting inside each of these. Okay, I don't think we finished the A wave yet, so I will be looking for a little bit more volatility before we hit the bounce and then come down. Okay, a double zigzag. What is a double zigzag? For anyone who doesn't know, it's a 5-wave pattern like this. If I can actually draw one. Okay, it's a 5-wave pattern like this, followed by a 3-wave correction. Just do a WXY for that, and then another 5-wave pattern to the downside. This one right here. Okay. This is known as a zigzag pattern. It is drawn as an A, B, C structure. It's a 5-3-5 corrective structure. Okay, they go in both directions. To keep it easy, we just called it a zigzag, but there's such a thing as an inverted zigzag, and it goes the other way. But for the most part, here we have 2 zigzag patterns combined. Okay, and it's a WXY pattern. Okay, so that is kind of what we're looking for on our small time frames. We're looking for some volatility, but ultimately still heading down to about 56 to 58K. Okay, taking a look at our momentum and oscillators here, we can see that we're not yet in the oversold area on the 4-hour time frame for BTC. So we still expect further declines here before we get into those next runs to the upside. Okay, so we are going to be looking for a relief rally. It's just not happening yet, in my opinion. Okay, obviously minimum expectations have already been met, but we are still looking for those slightly deeper moves. You can of course see here on the 4-hour time frame that we are now lower than the 200 EMA. This was a support that was found on the 25th of July. We are see below as well the 50 SMA, the yellow line, and the 50 EMA, the blue lines here on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, so from a small kind of time frame perspective, unfortunately, I don't think we are done just yet. We still have a further slippage to the downside, in my humble opinion. With, of course, the 5th of July, that swing low is still down there at 53,485. We're not talking about going down deeper than that, but this is a kind of on that kind of journey to the downside. Let's roll this up into our medium time frame. This is going to be our daily time frame. We were initially looking at, on the daily time frame, the idea of 61,250 to 62,300, but we wicked down lower than that today. So that unfortunately is not likely to be the case, right? $60,500 is the low that we've seen so far, and this is now actually mimicking a WXY, X, and Z. So on our kind of daily time frame there, we were looking at this as a double zigzag pattern, and actually that still technically is valid, to be fair. And you can actually see that here on our daily time frame. So what we're talking about on that 4-hour time frame, from that swing high, that first kind of ABC structure, the bounce, and then we're looking for another ABC structure. And you can see that this is heading down into this lower range here. The initial thoughts were we had this bounce up here, and we were going to try and find a support within this previous range. Okay, but that obviously hasn't held up. This is a previous area of resistance, and we were hoping to turn it into support. That hasn't held either, and so we do look for further slippage here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead ahead and remove our initial thoughts and leave on the expectations down here, which is that new kind of structure that we were mapping out on the smaller time frame. So it still looks like we are to see the 200 EMA get tested out once again. This is something that I've been talking about for a while, specifically as we started this correction over in April and we had started to head down in May. We had a little bit of a relief rally, but a new daily lower highs. We were talking about coming down and testing out the 200-day EMA. We did test this out on the 24th of June. We lost it. We turned it into brief resistance here, and then we rallied on through it on the 13th of July. I expect us to come back down and retest that. Whether we get a closed position lower than the 200-day EMA, I don't know. We'll see and cross that bridge when that time does come. But for now, our daily time frame, our expectations are that we are heading down into this kind of $56,000 to $58,000 range. Okay, so will the 200 EMA hold a support? If it does, that's 59,751. We don't have to go all the way down to that 56, 58K. We can find support on that 200 EMA, so we'll look for that. But we'll be looking for obviously daily close positions, whether or not we get support, looking for confirmation of reversals and trying to go long from there, should that be the case. Now, of course, we have a 5-wave pattern to the upside on this medium time frame. This is a great place to be because this allows us then to see this as a correction, which is what it is, before we get into the next 5-wave pattern. I was talking about zigzags earlier, right? Where we have those 5-wave patterns where they're never on their own, right? So 5 waves up, 3 waves down in this case, the double zigzag, the WXY. And then, of course, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will complete a zigzag pattern here on our daily time frame, that being to the upside. So we're talking about a zigzag pattern to the downside on the 4-hour time frame, and now we're talking about a zigzag pattern to the upside. So we're talking about double zigzag down, but a zigzag the upside on the daily. Okay, and obviously the daily is a bigger time frame, bigger jumps in price and all that kind of stuff. So here we can see that that's the true possibility, and we'll be looking for a new all-time high within that rally to the upside. So it's looking strong in my opinion from that point of view. If we throw smart money concepts into the mix here, you can see that there is this really strong area of resistance on this higher side. Okay, this still remains very much true. Unless we can break up into new all-time highs, we're not going to break out of the bearish smart money concepts pattern that we see there. There was a fair value gap that's being completely filled out now. That was created here on the 15th of July. We can argue there's a small one still available down that was left on the 14th of July. But for the most part, all fair value gaps to the upside that were left here have now kind of been filled out. There's obviously a small slither here just around equilibrium, which is that 50% level between the discounted price and the premium price for Bitcoin. But everything else is still kind of tracking along quite nicely here. So expectations on the medium time frame still to head down towards that 56, 58K, but hopefully we can find support around 59.5 on the 200-day EMA, which will give us a great support and hopefully be a great place to rally from. We are looking for new daily highs in order to get that confirmed breakout, and we are looking for new all-time highs if we can, of course, see a zigzag pattern playing out here. So let's roll this up into a weekly time frame. And on the weekly time frame, if we zoom out far enough so we can actually take stock of the situation here, we can see that things aren't that bad. We still haven't quite filled out this fair value gap that comes in at 53 on the low side. I do think that's something that may get tested, but I don't think it's necessarily something that gets filled. But it is a fair value gap on the chart. There's also a few lower ones here that were just never filled out, which was quite surprising, but driven a lot from the ETF kind of news in those early stages. These are 17 to 20 and 22 to $26,000. Okay, so fair value gaps that have not been filled. No guarantee that this one gets filled, considering the structures of everything that's going on. On a macro scale, though, smart money concepts is in a bullish structure. This is a break of structure in a bullish way, another break of structure here in another bullish way. Of course, guys, this is confirming 2021 peaks here. And of course, up here where our break of structure is a new all-time high, we are still in very much bullish territory when it comes to smart money concepts on the weekly time frame for BTC. Spanning many, many years, 2017, 2021, and of course we are looking for new weekly highs within our structures here. We are targeting out that slightly higher range for Bitcoin where we could potentially see 130, but we are conservative at around 101 to 118K. But the longer this takes hold, we might actually see a significant rallies further, specifically as I do think we are likely to see a bigger run in 2025 than initially initially thought. That could put us at $130,000 to $135,000 BTC in 2025. Be interesting to see whether that plays out, but you can see here it's diminishing gains over time. So elasticity here for BTC, supply demand metrics, we can see that we do have diminishing gains over time. But with the ETFs and the institutional players, we might see an explosion a little bit higher than that. But for now, on the longer time frame here, things are still looking very, very good for Bitcoin. I'm not concerned about anything that I'm seeing on the weekly time frame at the moment. We're in a pretty decent correction to the downside, but a 5-wave reversal. That 5-wave reversal, guys, could be a zigzag, as I said, but it could also be an impulsive break that gets us up into those higher ranges of $130,000. So lots to play for when it comes to BTC. I'm not concerned about the most recent moves to the downside. You can let me know in the comments below. Are you concerned? Do you think this bull run is over? Or do you think it's only really just getting started? Let me know. If you found today's video useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you haven't done so yet, guys, go ahead and check out my technical analysis video and channel just over here, where I cover a lot more TA every single day.